Hello there, universe. Well, they're roofing my house right now, so I apologize for the background noises. I do have my windows shut, even though it's 75 degrees here, and a prime day to have the windows open. But anyways, I'm just updating what's going on with me. I pretty much felt like I was losing my marbles on Sunday. Today is a Tuesday. So I didn't put the video up from Sunday because, for anybody following this, I don't like to get too dark. Who wants to hear a guy just being a black hole of misery on the internet? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I got to be honest, though, at the same time. So, but I got this I made a video on Sunday. I'm going to put it up with this one so you can see that I'm doing better than I was on Sunday. But Sunday, I was feeling a great deal of depersonalization related to anxiety because I got a very eventful week going on this week. And, of course, I'm struggling with tolerance withdrawal from Xanax. So, anyways, I don't know if that banging and clanging outside will be distracting, but I'm sure that me talking about it is even more distracting, so I'll just quit talking about it. Anyways, that's always good for your nerves, by the way, to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning to shingles raining outside your window and the sound of shovels scraping on your roof. But I'm not paying for it, so anyways. So today was my psychiatry appointment. So the most stressful thing about me today going to the psychiatrist is my transportation arrangement. So I took a Proline for crippled people in there, but I don't like to wait on them because they can show up at any given time. So I took a regular city bus home, which I haven't done in a while, and I haven't walked anywhere in a while because my knee and my lower right leg has been messed up for at least a month, and I got CRPS, so I already got issues with the walking. So yeah, my ankle hurts a bit, and it was definitely awkward walking around. I had to walk maybe only like 6-7 blocks or something like that, but I haven't walked anywhere, so because my knee was like a football there for a while. So yeah, that was the most stressful thing to me about going to the psychiatrist. That doesn't really stress me out, talking to people about my problems. It stresses them out, usually, me talking to people about my problems, because my problems are heavy problems, and I'm pretty honest about it. And a lot of people, they keep I'm not even gonna go there. I kind of can't finish that thought anyway, on a technical basis, because I did not sleep good last night. I had to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't go to sleep till after 3. So, plus I just went to the psychiatrist and had a long, stressful morning. And I get to listen to the beautiful Tchaikovsky-like music of scraping, banging, and falling objects all at the same time. So, yippee. Well, I talked to my psychiatrist. There wasn't really enough time to cover much. My style now, that I'm not like a very direct speaker. I'm not like this is this. Everything seems to be really involved with me, so I'm not really good at short answers. And anyways, so I'll try to do better here and just tell you that I sought to get doxepin. It's something I took before, and I got prescribed 10 milligrams, which is a sleeping aid dose of doxepin. Now, I was on doxepin at 25 milligrams when I was younger, and it's non-addictive to me. I mean, I think to everybody, but some people might. I'm talking about physical dependence now. It's not physically dependent, but some people might develop an addiction to it, because you can develop an addiction to things that you're not physically dependent on, just out of habit and behavior. So, anyways, the doxepin that I took back in the day, I quit that myself, and it was easy. It was like giving up fried eggs or something like that. It was simple, and I just stopped taking it because I felt the effects of it for too long. It helps you sleep like a dream, no pun intended. But when you wake up, you're still just like in that drowsy state. For me, it would last 15 to 17 hours, man. That's just too long. But at a lower dose, it might be an answer for me. Like last night, I took 3 times my taper yesterday, which I couldn't go to sleep, so that made the morning rough. So if I can use that for a sleep aid, that'll help me out. Another measure I took toward dealing with my physical dependence on alprazolam is I rented a top of the line Valium detector with all the bells and whistles. So I'll charge the battery on that thing, and I'm going to go out hunting later on. And I'm pretty sure I can get some. So I know for a fact that when I had Valium, and it's kind of like a standard practice anyway for people that know what they're doing, medical people, to wean people off of alprazolam using Valium. But if you follow my story, you know my doctor is a complete loose cannon, and I don't even want to talk to him about changing things up because I'm barely hanging on with the way things are now. I've been telling the guy that I've been wanting to quit, and I've gone in there with withdrawal. I've been on a taper, and the guy offers to double my dose, and it's like, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to up dose. He's like, no, I don't want that. So I'm dealing with some guy that he's either not paying attention or he's just wacky, and so I don't want to go in there asking for Valium like I would if I thought the guy was a reasonable human being, because I'm afraid that he'll just drop me off of the alprazolam altogether and substitute Valium instead of let me make the make the transition gradually. So the psychiatrist I saw today, he might also, besides Doxepin, prescribe me something that help ease the withdrawal symptoms, but I don't even know if I'm going to take it. If the Doxepin works, that's fine. I don't really want him playing around with my brain chemistry at all, but Doxepin is something I've taken before, and so I'm familiar with it. But I told the guy today, he was talking about rattling off Zoloft. The usual suspects, people. He started rattling off the usual suspects, and I'm like, I'm not comfortable taking any medications. I don't want to be on anything, and no Wellbutrin, none of that, whatever the heck, all the different things he was naming off. Is it SSRIs or is it the SRIs? Are there 2 S's in that? I don't know, but no, I don't want to be on anything, and I don't want my brain chemistry played with. I just want to concentrate on getting off of alprazolam. And lately I've been having a lot of bad physical symptoms with my stomach, man. My stomach hurts a lot. It's kind of alarming. And I think it's maybe increased anxiety. I don't know. I think it's probably just an anxiety symptoms. But, when you have so many things going on, which CRPS gives you all kind of random pain. Pain in nature is supposed to indicate a problem. But when you have CRPS, it's not indicating anything. It's a fool in the wilderness crying out singing to himself. It doesn't mean anything. So I have learned through the years to ignore that, but then I started having physical problems, and like my mind wants to spin my symptoms that are just like from neuropathy or whatever. It's starting wanting to spin my stomach aches or my pains and all that stuff into things, like what if this is wrong? What you know what I mean? As far as anxiety, what if this is wrong? What if that? What if this is this? What if? And when you're already like at the breaking point, like I am, and you feel like one more thing will just drive you over the edge, it makes it even worse. My leg performed okay today, though. My ankle hurts. I don't like that, but my leg looks like a normal leg, so I got that improvement. Like I said, Sunday I felt like I was losing my marbles, and then I made myself go and to somebody's house and hang out and interacted with people and had a really good visit. And I felt better the next day, and I did the same thing, and everybody was all high and drunk when I went back over there. It wasn't quite as nice a visit when you got some drunk person in your face, and then you got people smoking dope, and there's just clouds of cigarettes everywhere, and I smoked 2 cigarettes, and that didn't help me sleep. And when I got home, because I got home late, Anyways, this has been giving me a headache anyway, smoking. I got to remember to pack gum when I go over there. Whenever I go around smokers, to have gum or have candy or have something. And it's bad enough breathing in the secondhand smoke. You know, I figure like I'm sitting between two smokers on a couch, I might as well smoke. You kind of feel like that sometimes. You know, plus that's like, I'm a smoker, so even though I most of the time don't smoke, when I'm alone, I don't have a problem. I'm not physically dependent. I am addicted to smoking. I like making the fire and making the thing burn and sucking in the smoke and everything. I don't even like the way it tastes. I just like the whole ritual. But so anyways, let's see if I can draw my fragmented mind together. And so Sunday, losing my marbles, made a video, didn't put it up because I'm trying to record this experience and be honest, but at the same time, I had one video on there where I was pretty dark, and there's a couple of downvotes on it. And it's like, well, it is what it is. I can give you, I'm going to try to make this a winner story, a happy story with a happy ending. Even though I'm up against it, I got CRPS and problems upon problems. But I'm still in there and I'm still fighting and I'm still trying. So I want to make this document for the dozen or so people that follow it. I'll make it something uplifting. I mean, just because I got a lot of problems doesn't mean I have to go be a Susie wet blanket on the internet and just spout out all the misery inside me and whatnot. Don't want to do that. Yeah, I don't know what else to talk about. I have I didn't get a lot of sleep. Like I said, my brain's not doing too well as far as not enough sleep, a lot of stress, and I had mostly since last Wednesday for the past 6 days I've been taking half a milligram of alprazolam a day, and then yesterday I took a half a milligram, and then at 3 a.m. I took an additional quarter of a milligram to go to sleep because I'm like, I gotta have some sleep. I gotta go walk for the first time in a month and travel on a city bus and see how that goes. And so I had to have some kind of sleep. So, but now I got a substitute, which will mean, I know it's a substitute that'll work for me. It's just I worry about the drowsiness the next day. But it's not going to be like the quintilpine, or I don't have the bottle around me. I don't think to even read it for you, but I think it begins with a Q and ends with a peen. But anyways, that stuff is what I took Saturday night, so I wouldn't take another quarter milligram of alprazolam to go to sleep, and that might have contributed to me Sunday feeling like I was outside myself with the depersonalization and just feeling like really bad, really bad. But I'm still in there and I'm still hanging around and still fighting. Yeah. But no, I don't think, since I had that other video that's probably even longer than this one, I guess this is long enough. And like I said, my head hurts. I've got a headache. My thoughts are kind of fragmented anyway, but that's the gist of it. Is I'll be picking up a prescription for doxepin and maybe some other drug you mentioned. Like I said, my head wasn't too good today as far as remembering stuff. So he might have talked about giving me something to aid with the withdrawal symptoms, or he might have talked about it and not prescribed it. So I might only be picking up doxepin tonight. I don't know, but I'm only a little bit afraid of taking the doxepin, because I'm like in a fragile state right now. I'm like right on that borderline of sanity. So that's why I'm like, he's naming off all these drugs, and I'm like, no, nope, not taking it. And that's the one thing you got to remember whenever you go to any medical professional, is like, it's your body, it's your brain, and you got the last say so about what they do with you. Because I know a lot of people just go with the flow. That's an authority figure. They went to school, they know things, but you. And you got to take responsibility and be like, if you're not comfortable with something that they're doing, No. Now, one time I actually scared a doctor, and it wasn't a psychiatrist, it was a medical doctor. But I actually threatened him, and I know I don't seem like a scary dude or whatever, I'm sure, and I'm all crippled up and stuff. But I've always been able to scare people. I'm fairly large, but just the way I have to look at people, if they're not a scary person themselves, I can scare the fuck out. It's just always been that way. So anyways, this doctor, he's like doing a reflex test by scraping a reflex hammer, the handle of it, along my arch to see if my toes bend, right? That hurt like a bastard, you know. I'm like, man, that hurts. Don't do that. And he did it again. And I looked at him like I wanted to skip rope with his intestines, man. He actually took a step back. And I'm like, don't do that again. And he's like, okay. And he didn't even touch me the rest of the fucking exam. You know, he was afraid of me. So he just talked to me the rest of the exam. But I mean, I looked at him like I wanted to rip his head off and dribble it between my legs like a basketball. Go in for a dunk somewhere. You know. But yeah, that's the only doctor I've ever threatened, and I just looked at him like I wanted to kill him. I mean, I didn't, you know, I'm not stupid. I know they have very large African-American males in white shirts that will come down, and I won't be able to scare them, and they will take me away if I start, you know, saying actual verbal threats to somebody on the medical staff. They got wards for those situations. Since I usually tell a story on here, one of the few times I was ever in a psychiatric unit, that's why I'm referencing the large African American males in the white shirts, because that's the way it was back in the early 90s. There was a guy in there, and he got a phone call from his significant other that did not go well. This is in a psychiatric unit in Akron, Ohio. And he calmly, they have the phone in a general, like, seating area, you know, they don't have phones in the rooms, so he calmly puts down the phone. He goes into his room, and he shuts the bathroom door. No lock on the bathroom door, lucky for him. And he just starts punching the fuck out of the mirror until he gets shards of glass and starts cutting himself with the glass. And you know, people heard the noise of him punching the mirror, and so I saw the whole thing. You know, I saw the guy bleeding, and I saw the big guys holding him down and strapping him to the gurney and the restraints and everything. So, you know, it's not likely to forget that I was talking to the guy like half an hour before that phone call. And yeah, he totally wigged out. And that's the way it used to be. Is they used to have these large guys, and they always seem to be African Americans. I don't know if that's the appropriate term nowadays or whatever, but I don't even care about that stuff, because that stuff I think the whole idea of race is stupid anyway, but that's a whole nother matter. But anyways, that's why I always that's when I think of psychiatric units. That's what I always think about. Is I always think about those big guys weighing 220 pounds in the you know, always in white for some reason. Yeah, I think I was only in 4 psych units in 50 years, and if you knew my life, that's doing pretty good. That's not too bad. But yeah, I told this last time I was in a psych unit here on January 13th of this year, there one person in there was just going crazy, wanting to smoke, and I'm like, you're not going to want to hear this, but I was in a psychiatric wing of a hospital in 1987, and not only did they let you smoke, they let you smoke in the closed side of the ward. Before they weren't sure about, they just didn't let you have any lighters, so they had like a cigarette lighter, like a car, that was like push in and push out, and you would go up to a window and you would ask them, you'd tell them you want to smoke, and they would hit a button that would activate that push in, push out type lighter, and the guy would take the car lighter off the wall and light his cigarette, and then he'd put it back in, and they'd turn it back off somehow from behind the window. And that was in those days, you had a closed side to the ward and an open side to the ward. And when you first came in, you go into the closed side, and that's where you're not allowed to have any strings or belts or anything that, you're using sporks and plastic gear and stuff. So, and then once you proved to be a stable human being and you wasn't going to try to spork anybody to death, then they put you in the open side of the ward and you got your clothes back and stuff. But see, on January 13th of this year, when I went in, I hadn't been in any of those places for so long. They changed everything, so it was like the whole wing was like a closed side, and they didn't let me have my sweatshirt because it had a string in it. They wouldn't let me have my cane. It was a whole different ball game. And I even commented on the mirrors in the bathroom to one of the nurses, and she goes, "Yeah, that's so you can't break the glass." And of course, I told her the story about the guy breaking the glass, and I think that was in the early 90s. That was a different psychiatric stay than the one with the car lighter in the wall. I was for time. I might as well name the hospitals. I don't know why I'm being reluctant about naming the hospitals, but Cleveland Clinic Psychiatric Unit, and the next one was Altman Hospital, and the next one was Akron General, which was a self-admission, and there's a space of about 25 years to 30 years between then and the last one, which was January 13th of this year, which I might as well be honest about now. I had planned on going into a psychiatric unit to try to get help with my CRPS, as I explained in another video, because I want people to look at how I have to live on a daily basis, because when I talk about my symptoms and stuff, I don't make much of an impression. So I thought, well, if they see how I have to live with the CRPS, maybe I'll be more likely to get help. And I was like, well, I can go into a psychiatric unit. I've been in those places before. It's not that big a deal. And then when I was having a lot of emotional troubles around the first part of the year, not that I'm not having plenty now, but what was worse, I was like using too much of my alprazolam, so I ran out early, and I'm like, let's see, on the one hand, we got withdrawal. On the other hand, we have a stay in a psychiatric hospital. I'm choosing the psychiatric hospital, not psychiatric hospital, psychiatric wing of, psychiatric wing of the hospital. So, yeah, I was like, yeah, I knew what withdrawal was about, and I know how my doctor is, so I'm like, I was like, 3 days in withdrawal, no thank you. I'd rather have 3 days in a hospital where they're going to give me the drug I'm physically dependent on, and I'm not going to be staring at the wall, losing my mind and sweating and having the shakes and not being able to eat. So, yeah, that was the main thing that made me, I've had thought about it before, and that's the main thing that made me make that decision. And that's where I met this Dr. Felden guy. Oh, I put his name out. I guess it doesn't matter. I always try to be cautious on the internet, but I won't say nothing bad about him. I just met him in my last hospital stay. That's the guy I'm going to go see tomorrow. So I did accomplish something by going into that psychiatric unit besides avoiding withdrawal. It's like I met this guy, and he's familiar with CRPS, and I'm going to go see him in a part of a pain management thing tomorrow. But again, I'm not going to let him do anything invasive to me, or drugs are like over for me. I just don't want anything. I don't want to deal with any kind of medications. I'd be willing to take the doxepin because I know it's been used for CRPS to treat neuropathy before, and I know it's a good sleep aid, but even that I'm a little bit trepidatious about, even though I've taken it before. I've just had too many bad experiences, and I don't like the whole idea of people getting inside your mind and tinkering around with chemicals and stuff. Plus, I had that bad experience on Sunday where I took that Q-Peen sleeping pill, and it put me in a fucking weird state of mind. And, I was better the next day. I'm still definitely not feeling as good as I did before I got my cortisone shot. Not before I got my cortisone shot and got my leg fixed. I mean, I'm not blaming the cortisone shot, but the day after that, I started to have heart troubles, and I started to feel worse. And then once I started to have the heart troubles, then started to have the mind troubles, because the heart thing and the mind thing is why I'm talking to you people right now. That's the thing that kicked all this off, because, I mean, everybody has things that they have trouble dealing with. And the heart thing is something that it's like beyond me to deal with the anxiety of that, because I can feel my heart when it's messing up, and if you can feel your heart messing up every other day, and you're thinking about, like, am I going to end up in the hospital today? I mean, I'm sorry, that's beyond my capacity to deal with. And that's why I turned to the benzodiazepines like an ignorant son of a bitch, because I didn't know what that was about. And I told the psychiatrist about that today, and I'm like, I don't understand why doctors just don't explain the whole GABA receptors thing to people. I am, especially in the state I'm in now, I'm an above average intelligence a little bit, but I am not no freaking genius. And it's not hard to understand, but they don't explain it to you. And if they would explain to me how the neurotransmitter that calms your nervous system down is going to be, its uptake is going to be interfered with through benzo use, I would be like, no, thank you. I'm like, I wouldn't be bothering him. I wouldn't have bothered him for prescriptions the second time if he explained it to me the first time. You know, like, you know my story probably by now. If you listen to this long, I started taking them on the street, and then I started having more anxiety after taking them, and had some withdrawal symptoms, but not major withdrawal symptoms. And then I was like having so much anxiety, I started asking my doctor for it. My doctor was like, no. He just refused to prescribe it for me. At least 2 or 3 times I asked him, and he refused. And then I went to an ER and got some. And then since somebody else wrote for me, then he started writing for me. But the only thing he said to me, and I know I'm being redundant, is, well, I would prescribe that for you, but some people get to where they think they need it. And if he would have said, well, I would prescribe that for you, but your body is going to get to where you're physically dependent on it, and your body is going to torture you. That's a lot different than telling people, well, they think, it's just a mental. No. It's a straight physical thing. Like, I made the psychiatrist laugh today, because I said, if the doctor would just told me it's like Gene Hackman in The French Connection, if you're familiar with that old movie. If you're not, some mobsters kidnap Gene Hackman, strap him to a bed, and shoot him up with heroin until he develops a physical dependence. And that is the same type of deal with Xanax, is you develop that physical dependence. It's not a matter of thinking, got nothing to do with it. Thinking comes after you're physically dependent. It's got nothing to do with it. So, yeah, that made him laugh, that whole thing about Gene Hackman and The French Connection. I know that's an old movie, and I know I'm an old man, and it is a classic movie, though, and people might not be familiar with the scene, but it's pretty unforgettable. It's an evil thing to do to somebody, and as many of you know firsthand, it's an evil thing to do to somebody, to Gene Hackman them without letting them know what's going on. And the next thing you know, you got a physical dependence. But that's the one thing my doctor said is people get to where they think they need it. So, if he would have just, I don't know why they think we're morons or something. I mean, it's not, chemistry is frightening to me. I don't understand, like, when I read up on, like, I read up on some Doxepin articles, and I'm like, well, it's getting to that chemistry stuff, and like, I'm sorry, I'm not an educated person, and I never took chemistry, so I do not understand any of this crap here. But as far as the GABA receptors and how they become dependent, and the whole thing is very simple to understand. It's very, very simple to understand, and there's no reason in heaven, or hell more likely if we're talking about benzos, that they don't explain that to you, because anybody can understand it. It's just, use the word chemical if neurotransmitter is too high dollar word for it. Just tell them, like, look, you got this chemical in your body that calms you down, and when you take this, if you want me to prescribe this drug for you, when you take this drug, your body is not going to be able to process that chemical without that drug properly. And after you take the drug for so long, so how hard is that? I mean, I just did it. I think that was understandable. How hard is that to explain to somebody? And I know that I think doctors just think that we're morons and can't understand something as simple as that. It's like, oh, okay, that's what that means. Physical dependence. It means your body becomes dependent on this chemical to function. And then when the chemical is not there anymore, your body don't function right no more. This fucking kindergartner could understand that shit. So, but that wasn't explained to me, you know. That wasn't explained to me. He made it sound like it was a mental thing, you know. And, yeah, what can you do? But yeah, that's about a half an hour. That's a good length for this. I'll put up the other one that's I made while I was losing my marbles on Sunday a little bit, and then I'll put this one up because this one I'm doing a little better. I still have some. Tomorrow's going to be difficult going to pain management because, you know, I got my anxiety's really high, and I got you know, I still got tolerance withdrawal to deal with. But I'll be able to do tomorrow, and then Friday I have to get an ultrasound on my calf to see if there's blood clots in there, and see what, you know, it's looking like it looked before, though. After they shot me up with the cortisone and I went through the course of steroids, my leg looks pretty normal. It doesn't feel all that great, but I was able to walk today, and it wasn't a pretty sight. Kind of looked like a retarded giraffe walking, a retarded newborn giraffe, I should say. But it was walking. I'll take it. So yeah, I'm more on top of things now, and I'm doing better. So I just didn't want to put that other video up. I don't want to put something like that up that's completely depressing. And then, you know, just because, I guess you can say, just because somebody's doing really badly. Like I say, man, tomorrow is another damn day. Like, it's a scary thought, but sometimes it's a comforting thought too. To where you're like, I'm always like that though. I'm like, yeah, today sucks. Today's bad, but, you know, I might wake up tomorrow and I might have a different attitude about things. So I'm pretty good at that. Maybe it's because I'm older at the taking it one day at a time thing. And, you know, it's easy to get overwhelmed when you got a lot of stuff. Nobody knows that better than me. It's easy to get overwhelmed, but there's the phone ringing. I guess I gotta go. I'm on top of things, so I'll put this up. And as always, Godspeed. Do the best you can. Love you. Be good. All the stuff that people say at the end of these videos. Pick the one you like the best. Bye bye.